The document sat on Hana's desk for 3 standard galactic hours before she finally touched it. She was a senior permit officer for the Galactic Wildlife Protection Council, and in her 40 years of service, she had never seen anything like this. The application was simple. Too simple. It came from a small blue planet on the outer edge of the galaxy. A planet called Earth. The species that sent it called themselves humans. Hana had heard of them before. They were new to the galactic community. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel about 50 years ago. Most species considered them primitive, weak, unimportant. But this application was not unimportant. Hana read the words again. Her 4 eyes blinked slowly as she tried to understand what she was seeing. The humans were requesting a hunting permit. That was normal. Many species applied for hunting permits. The galaxy was full of dangerous creatures, and some species enjoyed the thrill of the hunt. What was not normal was the target. The humans wanted to hunt void stalkers. Hana put down the document and rubbed her face with her long fingers. Void stalkers were ranked 4th on the Unkillable list. The Unkillable list was a database of 126 species that the Galactic Council had classified as impossible to kill through normal means. These were creatures that had survived extinction events, creatures that could regenerate from a single cell, creatures that had armor stronger than starship hulls, creatures that had killed entire armies. Void stalkers were among the worst. They were massive beasts that lived on jungle moons. They could see in complete darkness. They could smell fear from a kilometer away. Their claws could cut through military-grade metal. They had killed 3 fully armed and armored expeditions in the last decade alone. Each expedition had been made up of the galaxy's best warriors, species with scales harder than diamonds, species with poison that could melt stone, species with reflexes faster than light. All of them had died, and now, humans wanted to hunt these monsters. Hana picked up the application again. She looked at the names on the document. The hunting team consisted of 2 individuals. The first was named Tay. He was listed as the primary hunter. He was 32 years old by Earth standards. His experience was listed as 15 years of hunting dangerous game on Earth. The second was named Yuna. She was listed as the tracker and support. She was 29 years old. Her experience was listed as 12 years of wilderness survival and tracking. Hana did not know what dangerous game meant on Earth. She had never studied the planet. But she knew that Earth was a small world with a relatively young biosphere. How dangerous could their animals be? She pulled up the galactic database and searched for Earth. What she found made her laugh. The most dangerous predators on Earth were creatures called lions, tigers, and bears. These animals were barely 3 meters long. They had no armor, no poison, no special abilities. They were just animals, and the humans thought hunting these things prepared them to face void stalkers? Hana shook her head. This had to be a joke, some kind of prank from the new species. She decided to forward the application to her superior, Commander Jisoo. Let her deal with this nonsense. Commander Jisoo was an old soldier. She had fought in the border wars 200 years ago. She had seen things that would break most minds. When she received the application from Hana, she did not laugh. She did not smile. She simply stared at the document with her single large eye. "Is this real?" Jisoo asked. "It appears to be," Hana replied. "The authentication codes are valid." It came directly from Earth's newly established Galactic Relations Office. Jisoo was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled up additional files on her screen. She was reading something. Hana could not see what it was. "Have you read the full report on humans?" Jisoo asked. "No, Commander. I only know the basics. They are a young species. Carbon-based. Relatively weak by galactic standards." Jisoo made a sound that might have been a laugh. Or maybe a sigh. It was hard to tell with her species. "They are strange creatures," Jisoo said. "Very strange. They come from a death world." Hana's eyes went wide. "A death world? That cannot be correct. I saw no such classification in the database. The classification is pending. The Science Council is still debating it." but the evidence is strong. Jisoo turned her screen so Hana could see. Their planet has extreme temperature variations, massive storms, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. 70% of their surface is covered in a substance that is toxic to most galactic life. Toxic? What substance? 2. They call it water. They drink it. They swim in it. They need it to survive. Hana felt sick. Water was dangerous. It corroded metal. It conducted electricity. It could drown air-breathing species in seconds. And humans drank it? Jisoo continued. Their atmosphere contains a highly reactive gas called oxygen. It causes cellular damage over time. It makes things burn. Yet they breathe it constantly. How are they alive? Hana whispered. I do not know, Jisoo admitted. But there is more. Their planet has a powerful gravity, much stronger than the galactic average. Their muscles and bones have adapted to it. They are stronger than they look. Jisoo pulled up another file. They also have something called an immune system. It is a biological defense mechanism that fights disease and infection. Most species rely on medical technology for this. Humans do it naturally. Their bodies are constantly at war with microscopic invaders. Hana did not know what to say. This information was unsettling. But it still did not explain why these humans thought they could hunt voidstalkers. There is one more thing, Jisoo said. Her voice was quieter now, almost respectful. Humans have a trait that is rare in the galaxy. It is called persistence. Persistence? Yes. Most predators in the galaxy rely on speed or strength or special abilities. They attack quickly. If they fail, they retreat. They look for easier prey. But humans are different. When humans hunt, they do not stop. They follow their prey for hours, days, weeks. They do not give up. They chase their target until it collapses from exhaustion, until it cannot run anymore. And then they kill it. Hana felt a chill run down her spine. She had never heard of such a hunting method. It sounded inefficient, wasteful, insane, and terrifying. What should we do with the application? Hana asked. Jisoo looked at the document one more time. Then she stamped it with her official seal. Approved, she said. Hana could not believe what she was seeing. Commander, you cannot be serious. They will die. We will be responsible for their deaths. Perhaps, Jisoo said. Or perhaps we will learn something new about the galaxy. Either way, I want to see what these humans can do. She handed the approved permit back to Hana. Send it to Earth. Tell them they have permission to hunt. And make sure our observation drones are ready. I want every moment of this recorded. Hana took the document with shaking hands. She did not understand her commander's decision, but she followed orders. The permit was sent. Somewhere on Earth, 2 humans named Tae and Yuna received the news. They read the approval message. They looked at each other, and they smiled. The hunt was about to begin. The transport ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Station Omega. Tae looked through the small window at the massive structure floating in space. It was huge, bigger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. Thousands of ships moved around it like insects around a hive. Lights blinked in patterns he did not understand. Signs in 100 different languages pointed in 100 different directions. This is it, Yuna said from beside him. She was checking her equipment bag for the 10th time. She always did that before a hunt. It was her way of staying calm. Nervous? Tae asked. No, she lied. Tae smiled. He knew her too well. They had been hunting partners for 8 years. They had tracked tigers through the jungles of India. They had hunted wild boar in the mountains of Korea. They had survived encounters with bears, wolves, and crocodiles. But this was different. This was not Earth. This was the galaxy. The transport ship docked at the station. The doors opened. Tae grabbed his bag and stepped out into a new world. The first thing he noticed was the smell. It was strange. chemical, like a hospital mixed with a zoo. The air felt thin but breathable. The gravity was lighter than Earth. He felt like he could jump very high if he tried. The second thing he noticed was the staring. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the station's main corridor. There were tall ones with long necks, short ones with many legs, fat ones that rolled instead of walked, thin ones that floated in the air. And all of them were looking at Tay and Yuna, looking and laughing. Tay heard whispers in languages he did not understand. But his translator device, a small chip behind his ear, converted the words into Korean. Look at them. So small. Are those the humans? They look like prey. They have no armor, no claws. How do they survive? I heard they want to hunt void stalkers. They must have a death wish. Tay ignored the comments. He had faced doubt before. On Earth, people had laughed at him when he said he wanted to become a professional hunter. They said he was too young, too inexperienced, too foolish. He had proved them wrong. He would prove these aliens wrong too. Yuna walked beside him. Her face showed no emotion. She was like stone when she was focused. Her eyes moved constantly, taking in everything, counting exits, noting potential threats, finding paths through the crowd. She was the best tracker Tay had ever worked with. They made their way to the station commander's office. The door opened automatically as they approached. Inside, a large creature sat behind a desk. It had blue skin and 4 arms. Its head was round like a ball, with 3 eyes arranged in a triangle. It wore a uniform, with many medals on the chest. You are the humans, the creature said. It was not a question. Yes, Tay replied. I am Tay. This is my partner Yuna. We are here for the hunt. The commander looked at them for a long moment. Then, it made a sound that Tay's translator identified as a sigh. I am Commander Dohun, the creature said. I am responsible for all hunting expeditions in this sector. I must warn you. What you are attempting is suicide. We understand the risks, Yuna said. Do you? Dohun leaned forward. His 3 eyes seemed to bore into them. 3 expeditions have tried to hunt void stalkers in the past 10 years. Each expedition had between 20 and 50 warriors. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were elite fighters. The best their species had to offer. The commander pulled up a holographic display. It showed images of creatures that made Tay's eyes go wide. There were massive reptilian beings covered in thick scales. There were insectoid warriors with razor-sharp limbs. There were giants that stood 5 meters tall, with muscles like mountains. The first expedition was made up of Korvan warriors, Dohun said. Their scales can stop plasma fire. They have strength equal to your Earth machines, called excavators. 40 of them went to the jungle moon. None returned. We found pieces of their bodies scattered across 10 kilometers of forest. The image changed. The second expedition included Nixar assassins. They can turn invisible. They can move without making any sound. They have poison in their claws that kills in seconds. 30 of them went to hunt. The Void Stalker found them first. It killed them all in one night. Another image. The third expedition was a combined force. 50 warriors from 12 different species. They had heavy weapons, armored vehicles, air support. They lasted 3 days. The Void Stalker destroyed everything. It learned their tactics. It adapted. It became smarter with each attack. Dohun turned off the display. And now you 2 humans want to succeed where they failed. You have no scales, no poison, no invisibility. You are small and soft. Your weapons are primitive projectile devices. Bullets, arrows, things that would barely scratch a Void Stalker's hide. Tay listened to everything the commander said. Then he spoke. What do you know about the Void Stalker's behavior? Dohun blinked. Excuse me? Its behavior. Its patterns. Does it sleep? Does it eat? Where does it go when it is not hunting? Does it have a territory? Does it have weaknesses? Does it have weaknesses? Does it have weaknesses? The commander was silent for a moment. Most hunters ask about weapons, about armor, about escape routes. You are asking about behavior? Weapons and armor did not help your previous expeditions, Tay said. They tried to fight the creature with strength. We will not do that. We will hunt it with knowledge. Yuna nodded. We need to understand how it thinks, how it moves, what it wants. Every creature has patterns. Every creature has weaknesses. We just need to find them. Do-hun stared at the humans for a long time. Something changed in his expression. The mockery was gone. In its place was something else. Curiosity. Perhaps. Or maybe the beginning of respect. The jungle moon is called Vexa, Do-hun said slowly. It is covered in dense vegetation. The atmosphere is breathable but heavy. The gravity is similar to your Earth. The Void Stalker has made its home in the northern hemisphere. It has a territory of approximately 200 square kilometers. He pulled up another display. This one showed a map of the moon. It hunts at night. During the day, it rests in caves or thick foliage. It can see heat. It can smell chemical signatures from great distances. It has excellent hearing. Its only known weakness is that it cannot swim. It avoids large bodies of water. Tay and Yuna studied the map carefully. They asked more questions. About the terrain. About the weather. About the other creatures on the moon. Do-hun answered them all. With each question, his respect for the humans seemed to grow. Finally, Tay stood up. We will need a transport to the moon. And we will need to be left alone. No backup. No rescue teams. No interference. You want no support? Do-hun asked. Support will only slow us down, and it might attract the stalker before we are ready. We work better alone. Do-hun shook his head. I have commanded thousands of hunters. I have seen bravery and foolishness. You two are either the bravest beings I have ever met, or the most foolish. Yuna smiled for the first time since they arrived. On Earth, there is often no difference. The transport would leave in 6 hours. Tay and Yuna spent that time preparing. They checked their equipment. They studied the maps. They made plans and backup plans for the backup plans. The aliens on the station continued to stare and whisper. They expected the humans to fail. They expected to never see them again. They were already planning their memorials, but Tay and Yuna were not thinking about death. They were thinking about the hunt. They were thinking about the creature waiting for them on that jungle moon. They were thinking about the challenge ahead, and they were excited. The transport ship took off from Station Omega. It headed toward the jungle moon called Vexa. Inside, 2 small humans sat in silence. They were ready. The real hunt was about to begin. The jungle of Vexa was like nothing on Earth. The trees were not green but purple. They stretched hundreds of meters into the sky. Their leaves were wide and thick, blocking most of the light from the planet's 2 suns. Strange sounds filled the air, clicks and whistles and deep rumbles that shook the ground. Tay stepped off the transport ship and took a deep breath. The air was thick and humid. It tasted like copper and flowers. His lungs worked harder than usual, but he could breathe. That was enough. Yuna came out behind him. She already had her equipment ready. Thermal goggles around her neck. A tracking device in her hand. A long knife on her belt. Her rifle was strapped across her back. It was an old weapon by galactic standards, but she trusted it. She had killed many dangerous creatures with it. The transport ship lifted off behind them. It would return in 14 days. If they were still alive. Which way? Tay asked. Yuna checked her tracking device. Commander Do-hun had given them the last known location of the Void Stalker. It was about 40 kilometers north. A long walk through hostile terrain. North, Yuna said. We follow the river for the first 20 kilometers. It gives us an escape route if we need it. The stalker cannot swim. They began walking. The first day was about learning. Learning the jungle, learning its sounds, learning its smells. Learning which plants were safe to touch and which ones would kill them. They found a species of vine that released poison when disturbed. They found insects that could bite through leather. They found a small predator, about the size of a dog, that tried to attack them. Yuna killed it with one shot. By evening, they had covered 15 kilometers. They set up camp near the river. No fire. Fire would attract attention. They ate cold rations and drank water they had purified with tablets. "The stalker knows we are here," Yuna said quietly. Tay nodded. He knew. The stalker could smell them from kilometers away. It had probably picked up their scent the moment they landed. It was watching them right now. Waiting. Studying. "Good," Tay said. "Let it watch. Let it learn our patterns. We will show it what we want it to see." This was the first part of their plan. They would act predictable for a few days. They would walk during the day and rest at night. They would make noise. They would leave obvious trails. They would seem like easy prey. The stalker would grow confident. It would think it understood them. And then, they would change everything. The second day was harder. The terrain became steeper. The trees grew thicker. Strange creatures watched them from the shadows. Some were curious. Some were hungry. Yuna kept her rifle ready. That night, they found their first sign of the stalker. It was a footprint. Pressed deep into the mud near a stream. Yuna knelt beside it and measured with her hand. The print was larger than her entire torso. The claws had dug 10 centimeters into the ground. "It was here recently," she said. "Maybe a few hours ago." Tay looked around. The jungle was quiet. Too quiet. The normal sounds had stopped. The insects. The birds. The small animals. They had all gone silent. "It is watching us," Tay whispered. He could feel it. A presence in the darkness. Eyes that could see through the night. He knew the stalker was close. Maybe 50 meters away. Maybe less. It could attack right now if it wanted to. It could kill them both before they could react. But it did not attack. It was curious. It had never seen humans before. It wanted to understand what they were. What they could do. Whether they were worth the effort of killing. Tay pretended not to notice. He yawned loudly and stretched. He talked to Yuna about random things. The weather. The food. Home. He acted like a fool who did not know danger was near. The stalker watched. And it made a decision. These creatures were weak. Soft. Slow. They would be easy prey when the time came. There was no rush. It disappeared into the jungle. Tay and Yuna exchanged a look. They did not speak. They did not need to. They both understood. The game had begun. Over the next 3 days, they continued deeper into the stalker's territory. They found more signs. Claw marks on trees. Bones of previous victims. A cave that smelled of death. Each sign told them more about their prey. The stalker was old. Probably hundreds of years old. It was smart. It had survived many attacks. It had learned from each one. It knew how to avoid traps. It knew how to wait for the perfect moment. It was patient, but humans were patient too. On the 5th day, Tay and Yuna changed their pattern. Instead of walking during the day, they walked at night. Instead of resting at night, they moved constantly. They split up, then came back together. They backtracked. They circled. They did everything wrong by normal hunting standards. The stalker became confused. It tried to predict where they would go. It failed. It tried to ambush them. They were not where it expected. It tried to track them. Their scent was everywhere and nowhere. For the first time in its long life, the stalker felt something strange. Frustration. On the 6th day, Tay began setting traps. These were not ordinary traps. They were not meant to catch the stalker. They were meant to hurt it. Slow it down. Make it angry. He found narrow passages between rocks and set up tripwires connected to small explosive charges. Not enough to kill the stalker, but enough to wound it. He found trees with soft bark and coated them with a chemical that would burn skin. He dug pits and filled them with sharpened stakes. Yuna set up her own traps. Sound traps that would create loud noises and disorient the creature. Light traps that would blind it temporarily. smell traps that would confuse its senses. The jungle became a maze of danger. The stalker discovered the first trap on the sixth night. A tripwire. It triggered an explosion that burned its leg. The stalker roared in pain and anger. It had not felt pain in decades. It did not like the feeling. It found the second trap an hour later, a pit. It fell in and cut its stomach on the stakes. The wounds were not serious, but they hurt. They bled. The stalker climbed out of the pit. Its 3 eyes glowed with rage. These small creatures had hurt it. Twice. This was unacceptable. This was an insult. It would kill them. Now. Tonight. But the humans were gone. The stalker searched for hours. It followed their scent to the river. The scent stopped at the water. They had used the one terrain it could not enter. They had escaped. Miles away, Tay and Yuna floated downstream on a makeshift raft. They were wet and cold and tired. But they were alive, and they were smiling. "It is angry now," Yuna said. "Good," Tay replied. "Angry creatures make mistakes." They reached the shore and pulled the raft out of the water. They were now behind the stalker. It was searching for them in the north. They were in the south. They had turned the hunt around. Now they were not the prey. They were the hunters. Yuna checked her equipment. Her rifle was dry. Her knife was sharp. Her tracking device showed the stalker's position. It was moving fast, searching for them in the wrong direction. "Tomorrow," Tay said. "Tomorrow we end this." Yuna nodded. She was ready. They both were. The 7th day was coming. The final day. The day of the kill. The stalker did not know it yet, but its time was running out. 2 small humans from a small blue planet were about to do what armies could not. They were about to kill an unkillable. The 7th day began with rain. Heavy drops fell from the purple sky and turned the jungle floor into mud. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Lightning flashed between the massive trees. It was a perfect day for a hunt. Tay and Yuna moved through the jungle like shadows. They did not speak. They communicated with hand signals. A gesture for stop. A gesture for move. A gesture for danger ahead. The stalker was close now. Yuna's tracking device showed it was 2 kilometers north. It was still searching for them. Still angry. Still confused. The traps had done their job. The creature was wounded and frustrated. Its movements were erratic. Its pattern was broken. It was vulnerable. They reached a clearing near a cliff. This was the place. Tay had chosen it 3 days ago when they first scouted the area. The cliff was high. The clearing was narrow. There was only one way in and one way out. It was a trap, but not a small trap. This trap was designed for something much larger. Tay began setting up the final equipment. Heavy cables hidden under leaves. Explosive charges placed in specific spots. Containers of a special chemical that would burn even in the rain. Everything was connected to a single trigger that Yuna would control. She found a position on a tall rock formation at the edge of the clearing. From there, she could see everything. She could shoot anything. She set up her rifle and checked her scope. The rain made visibility difficult, but she had hunted in worse conditions. "Ready?" Tay asked through his earpiece. "Ready," Yuna confirmed. Now came the hardest part. They had to bring the stalker to them. Tay walked to the center of the clearing. He was completely exposed. If the stalker attacked now, he would have no protection. He would die in seconds. But that was the plan. He was the bait. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button. A loud sound erupted from the device. It was a recording of the stalker's own roar, captured by galactic satellites years ago. The sound echoed through the jungle. It was a challenge, an insult, a call to battle. Miles away, the stalker stopped moving. Its ears turned toward the sound. Its eyes narrowed. Something was making it sound. Something was in its territory, pretending to be it. This was unacceptable. The stalker turned and ran toward the clearing. Yuna watched through her scope. She could not see the creature yet, but she could see the jungle moving, trees shaking, birds flying away in panic, the ground trembling slightly with each massive footstep. "It is coming," she said. Fast, very fast. Tay did not move. He stood in the center of the clearing, waiting. His heart was beating hard in his chest. His hands were sweating, but his face was calm. He had faced death before. He had stared into the eyes of charging tigers and hungry bears. He knew fear. He knew how to control it. The stalker burst into the clearing. It was massive. Bigger than Tay had imagined. Its body was covered in thick black scales that seemed to absorb the light. Its 3 eyes glowed red like burning coals. Its claws were longer than swords. Its mouth was full of teeth that could crush bone. It saw the small human standing alone. It saw easy prey. It roared in triumph and charged. Tay waited. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Now, he dove to the side just as the stalker reached him. Its claws missed his body by centimeters. At the same moment, Yuna pressed the trigger. The cables hidden in the ground shot upward. They wrapped around the stalker's legs. The creature stumbled and crashed to the ground. The explosion charges went off, sending dirt and fire into the air. The chemical containers broke open, and burning liquid splashed across the stalker's back. The creature screamed. It was a horrible sound, a sound of pain and rage and disbelief. It struggled against the cables, but they were strong, made from the same material as starship hulls. Even the stalker's strength could not break them immediately. Yuna fired. Her first shot hit the creature's left eye. It exploded in a spray of dark fluid. The stalker screamed again and thrashed wildly. Yuna fired again. The second shot hit its right eye. Now it could only see with its center eye. Tay was on his feet. He ran toward the creature with his own weapon. Not a gun. Something older. Something simpler. A spear. A long metal spear with a tip made from a special alloy, hard enough to pierce anything. The stalker saw him coming with its remaining eye. It broke one of the cables, then another. It was getting free. It was still alive, still dangerous. Tay did not slow down. He jumped onto the creature's back. He grabbed its scales for support. The burning chemical was still hot, and it burned his hands. But he did not let go. He climbed higher. He reached the neck. The stalker tried to throw him off. It rolled. It bucked. It smashed its body against the ground. Tay held on. His grip was iron. His determination was steel. He found the spot. A small gap between the scales at the base of the skull. Every creature had a weak point. The stalker's was here. He raised the spear and drove it down with all his strength. The tip went deep. It cut through muscle. It scraped against bone. It pierced the brain. The stalker froze. Its body went rigid. Its remaining eye grew wide. Then, slowly, it collapsed. Tay fell off the creature and landed hard on the ground. He lay there for a moment, breathing heavily. His hands were burned. His ribs were bruised. His body was covered in mud and blood and chemical burns. But he was alive, and the stalker was dead. Yuna climbed down from her position and ran to him. She helped him sit up. She checked his wounds. They were painful but not fatal. He would heal. "You crazy fool," she said. There were tears in her eyes. "You could have died." Tay laughed. It hurt to laugh, but he did it anyway. "I could have died many times," he said, "on every hunt. That is what makes it exciting." They sat together beside the body of the unkillable creature. The rain continued to fall. The thunder continued to rumble. But the jungle was quiet now. The other animals could sense that something had changed. The king of this moon was dead. Yuna pulled out a camera and began taking pictures. She documented everything. The wounds they had inflicted. The traps they had used. The position of the body. Every detail would be recorded and sent to the Galactic Council. "They will not believe it," she said. "They will have to," Tay replied. "The evidence is right here." He reached out and touched the stalker's scales. Cold now. Lifeless. Just a few hours ago, This creature had been the most feared predator in this sector of the galaxy. Now it was nothing more than a corpse. Tay felt no joy, no triumph, only respect. The stalker had been a worthy opponent. It had almost killed them several times. It had pushed them to their limits. It deserved honor in death. He closed the creature's remaining eye. "Rest now," he said quietly. "Your hunt is over." In orbit above the moon, Commander Do-hun watched the footage from the observation drones. He saw the entire battle. He saw the planning, the patience, the courage, the final kill. He had been wrong about the humans. They were not weak. They were not foolish. They were something else entirely. Something the galaxy had never seen before. He pressed a button on his console and sent the footage to the Galactic Council. They needed to see this. They all needed to see this. Everything was about to change. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Hundreds of representatives from hundreds of species sat in their seats, staring at the massive screen in the center of the room. The footage had just ended. The final image was frozen on the display. Two small humans standing over the body of a void stalker. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence stretched for a long time. High Counselor Nari was the first to react. She was an ancient being, over 1,000 years old. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had witnessed wars that destroyed entire solar systems. She thought she had seen everything the galaxy had to offer. She was wrong. "Play it again," she said. Her voice was soft but carried across the entire chamber. The footage started from the beginning. The council watched as the two humans entered the jungle. They watched as they studied their prey. They watched as they set traps and made plans. They watched as they changed their patterns and confused the stalker. They watched as they turned the hunt around and became the predators. And they watched as they killed the unkillable. When the footage ended again, the chamber erupted in noise. Everyone was talking at once. Some voices were loud with disbelief. Others were quiet with fear. Some demanded to know if the footage was fake. Others asked how this was possible. Nari raised her hand. The chamber fell silent again. "The footage is authentic," she said. "Our best technicians have verified it. Every frame is real. Every moment actually happened." A representative from the Corvan species stood up. He was tall and covered in thick scales. His species had been among those killed by void stalkers in the past. "This is impossible," he said. "We sent 40 of our greatest warriors. They had armor, weapons, training. They were the best fighters in the galaxy. And they all died." He pointed at the frozen image on the screen. "These humans have none of that. They are small, soft, weak. How did they succeed where we failed?" Commander Do-hun stepped forward. He had been invited to explain what he had witnessed. "I asked myself the same question," he said. "I watched every moment of their hunt. And I found my answer." He pressed a button, and new footage appeared on the screen. It showed Tay and Yuna during the 7 days of the hunt. Their movements, their conversations, their planning sessions. Most species in this galaxy rely on their natural advantages, Do-hun explained. Speed, strength, armor, special abilities. When those advantages fail, they retreat. They give up. They accept defeat. He paused. Humans have no natural advantages. They are not the fastest species, not the strongest, not the toughest. By galactic standards, they are unremarkable in almost every way. The chamber muttered in agreement. This was all known. But humans have something else, Do-hun continued. Something we overlooked. Something we did not understand. He pulled up a new display. It showed data about human physiology. Their endurance. Their healing ability. Their brain structure. Humans can keep going when other species would stop. Their bodies can endure pain and exhaustion, far beyond what should be possible. When they are hurt, they heal quickly. When they fail, they try again. He showed footage of Tay climbing onto the stalker's back. His hands were burning. His body was injured. Any other species would have retreated. But he kept going. This is called persistence, Dohun said. And it is the most dangerous trait in the galaxy. He switched to another display. This one showed human history. Wars. Exploration. Invention. Survival. On their home planet, humans have survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, plagues, natural disasters. They have crossed deserts and mountains and oceans. They have gone to the bottom of their seas and the surface of their moon. Every time they faced an obstacle, they found a way around it. Over it. Through it. The chamber was silent again. But it was a different kind of silence. Not confusion. Not disbelief. Fear. The Void Stalker was powerful, Dohun said. But it had never faced something like this. It expected the humans to run. They did not run. It expected them to give up. They did not give up. It expected them to die. They refused to die. He turned to face the council directly. The humans did not beat the stalker with strength or speed or technology. They beat it with patience, with planning, with an absolute refusal to accept defeat. They wore it down. They frustrated it. They made it angry and careless. And then they killed it. High Counselor Nari leaned forward in her seat. What are you saying, Commander? Dohun took a deep breath. I am saying that we have made a mistake. For 50 years, we have treated humans as a primitive species. We have laughed at their technology. We have dismissed their abilities. We have considered them barely worthy of notice. He looked at the image of Tay and Yuna on the screen. We were wrong. Humans are not weak. They are not primitive. They are something far more dangerous. They are survivors. Adapters. Hunters. He paused. We have a list of 126 unkillable species. I recommend we add a 127th. The chamber exploded in noise again. Representatives shouted questions. Some demanded explanations. Others demanded action. The idea of adding humans to the unkillable list was shocking. Terrifying. Nari waited for silence. You believe humans belong on the list of super predators? I do, Dohun said. Not because of what they are now, but because of what they might become. They have been in space for only 50 years. They are still learning. Still growing. In 1,000 years, in 10,000 years, what will they be capable of? He let the question hang in the air. On the screen behind him, the footage changed one more time. It showed Tay and Yuna leaving the jungle moon. They were wounded but alive. They were smiling. They looked satisfied, and they looked hungry for more. Far across the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, Tay and Yuna returned home. They were greeted as heroes. News of their hunt had spread across the stars. Every species in the galaxy now knew what humans could do. But Tay was not interested in fame. He sat in his small apartment and looked at his healing hands. The burns were fading. The pain was going away. Soon, he would be ready for another hunt. Yuna came in with 2 cups of tea. She handed one to him and sat down beside him. The council is talking about us, she said. They want to add humans to the unkillable list. Tay took a sip of his tea. Good. Good? You think it is good that they consider us dangerous? Tay smiled. It was a small, quiet smile. A hunter's smile. For 50 years, the galaxy has looked down on us. They called us weak, primitive, unimportant. Now they know the truth. Now they know what humans really are. He looked out the window at the stars. We are not prey. We never were. We are hunters, and the galaxy is our hunting ground. Yuna nodded slowly. She understood. They had proven something important on that jungle moon. Not just that humans could kill a void stalker, but that humans could do anything. Go anywhere, face any challenge, and win. The galaxy had 126 unkillable species. Creatures that were supposed to be impossible to kill. Monsters that had terrorized civilizations for millions of years. Tay looked at the list. 1 down, he said. 125 to go. Yuna laughed. You are serious. I am always serious about hunting. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Galactic Council continued to debate what to do about humans. Some wanted to restrict them. Others wanted to befriend them. A few suggested destroying them before they became too powerful. But it was already too late for that. The humans had tasted the thrill of galactic hunting. They had proven themselves against the impossible. And they were just getting started. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of human hunters had begun.